kind of high performers that you work with, the creatives and so forth, is there any kind of common pain that you see that runs through these people that commonly comes up in their experience of life?
Yeah, I think many of them are driven by fear, not passion. At some point in their lives, it didn't feel enough, or didn't feel connected, or didn't feel worthy as they are. And so they're on this pursuit of, if I climb the ladder to the top, finally, I will feel worthy. But the flip side of that is, what they find is they climb the ladder to the top and there's nothing fucking there, ever. Then we get to a point, and I work a lot with people at this stage, where they've sold the business, they've made the money, they've had the number one, and they're fucking miserable because it turns to kind of an existential pain of, well, what's this all about? Yeah, it's fear and it's inadequacy that, although not sustainable, are brilliant driving forces. You know, they can really push us to go far. Even think about this idea of celebrity. Now, this isn't a judgment. This is just a kind of reflection. There's something interesting in the psyche that is so determined to be known by a large amount of people, to finally be acknowledged. That says something. And the tragedy of that is, you're never actually known, because somewhere along the line you create your artistry and you build a brand. And so what's loved and adored is something that isn't you in the first place. So you feel this even bigger gap between who I actually am and what people adore. So the long-winded way is to say fear, right, and inadequacy, like all of us.
And what you were saying there about the kind of gap there, you know, this celebrity wanting to be known, wanting to be seen, this deep desire to be seen by many and to be seen as somebody, you know, somebody worth seeing, I guess, also. And that it's this kind of self-perpetuating, isn't it? Because there's a desire to be seen, but the more the desire to be seen is kind of like given energy, the more the gap starts to kind of become between the authentic self and who they really are and who they would really love us to see, right? Though there'd be fear wrapped around that. And the person that's like out in the world, that's polished, that people do adore. And I imagine that creates, like you said, that gap. It must create an even deeper wound of wanting to be seen, and to some degree, even deeper experience of like loneliness and not being known.
Yeah, a complete incongruence. And the same thing happens in the influencer space. Because not so much anymore, but if we look at how the influencer world began, it was usually people that weren't out socializing with friends because they didn't have that many friends. It was that they were the more kind of computer kids, maybe let's say geeky, if we're going to use that term, and suddenly they're adored. So you've got this huge change of, I wasn't popular and now I'm more popular than I could ever imagine. And I think that's why we get a lot of the drinking or the drugs or the kind of tragic sexual behavior. It's like, because this wound just, it doesn't know what to do with a massive following and admiration all of a sudden, when it's felt so lonely its whole life. So yes, I think the feeling of loneliness just expands. But the only thing I'd say is there's a flip side. And when someone builds a creative life as a musician or an influencer from something they're passionate about, when they write music, because they can't not write music, because they have something to say, and the pain, that's where it's beautiful. And these people normally are pissed off with fame, right? They wish there could be a way to deliver that art without the celebrity culture. I was watching something with Ben Affleck the other day, and he was saying, because I think he directed or was very much involved and acted in Good Will Hunting when he was very young, which was an incredible feat. So he was saying that he loves acting, he loves directing, but the celebrity side of things is so suffocating for him. So that's a good example of someone that is based actually in truth that then gets pulled in. But when we look at the culture today with everyone trying to be TikTok famous, the goal is not to create the best piece of music possible or to deliver the best message. It's to get famous. It's simply to build an audience to be adored. And that, I think, is a recipe for disaster.
Because it's that the motivation is still, as I There's a term that I think Chris Williamson used in a podcast of dark motivation.
Mhm.
The, fear, pain, wanting to run away from the wound versus kind of, I think, what might be termed as a light motivation that's like love, passion, meaning, meaning and purpose, and how those burn very differently. The dark motivation like can burn us out very quickly and very harshly because of the running away aspect, or the continual reliving of the wound as well. I've seen with people like constantly in the wound is energetically exhausting, versus the passion and the love almost being something that feeds and cycles and increases energy, increases like motivation, energy, and vitality even. Is that something you also see inside of your work?
Yes, absolutely. But that dark, what did you call it? Dark motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah. That can get us to CEO level. It really can. It can get us to be an Olympic athlete. But it never allows us to reach the destination that we've been promised. And that kind of lighter motivation is almost like overflowing of, I need to offer something to the world, because it's so alive in me. It's more sustaining, it's more captivating, and you feel it when you're in the presence of someone like that. Your nervous system just picks up presence that is not there when I sit with a tired CEO that we find out is still trying to impress his dad from childhood. There is, not to go too much on a tangent, but when I work with high performers, I often use this concept called vertical development that comes out of Harvard and looks at how we move through developmental stages in adulthood, just like we do as children. And you look at kind of conventional ways of thinking, which gets us to the achiever stage, which is we're very good at reaching goals, we can collaborate, and we have a good sense of drive. But after that, you have to go through this redefining stage of questioning, what the fuck is all this about? Where am I going? And then you increase up to kind of the top levels. And these are the kind of CEOs that you sit down with. And even though they have insanely busy diaries, they have all the time in the world for you. They have a playfulness about it. They have a way of understanding what they do is both important and transient. It's not connected to their self-worth. They're just enjoying the experience as it happens. And I guess that would be, in a way, looking at light motivation, right? And it feels so different when you sit with these people. It's inspiring. You feel special in their presence. You don't feel rushed. You don't feel restricted. You don't even feel like you need to impress them. And their power is very quiet. It's very gentle. They don't shout. They don't need to. They just flow. I've only met a few of them in my life, but it feels like a beautiful place to be.
Yeah, sounds like it. Almost, I can almost, as you're describing it, it's like intoxicating to be in the presence of someone like that. You just wanted, it almost impacts you in a way that's like, oh man, I can relax. Or even you feel aspects of yourself being mirrored to you that maybe you never noticed before, or felt uncomfortable with acknowledging.
Yeah. Well, I think it breaks this idea that for a man, we have to be powerful in some kind of dominant way. I think the opposite of dominant power is not passive and weak. It's this kind of collaborative powers. It's actually feeling so powerful in your system, so grounded, so true, so authentic, that why do you have to perform at all? You're just comfortable. There's a record label boss. I won't mention his name, but he is this type of character to me. And it was very small moments. Like he came to have a conversation with me when I couldn't offer him anything. And he spent 3 hours chatting. He got a cup of coffee and he was so polite to the person. He then brought it up to the rooftop and then he was like, oh, I'm going to bring it back down again so that I have to come up and get it. Like these small little moments of calm and peace. But this man runs a company with hundreds of employees, but he does so with grace and compassion. He's not weak, he's not conflict avoidant, but he just isn't trying to prove anything or get somewhere to escape fear. He just loves what he does, and that is inspiring.
When you describe these individuals, as I hear this, it's like it's the meaning of what they do, right? The meaning they place on what they do. The meaning isn't like I'm building this massive company so that the world thinks I'm amazing. I said we're kind of circling what we said before, or that people think I'm worthy, or people think I'm good enough. It's like, and I guess the question for you is what do you see as, and we might have touched on it already, but what do you see as the meaning for people like this record label boss, the meaning that they attach to their work and what they're doing, if there is any?
I think they're very passionate about what they do, and they get a lot of enjoyment, and they know they're good at what they do. And their motivating force is to use their gift in some way to push things forward or make things better or enable creativity to blossom in other individuals. There's like a service aspect to it. It's not about them. They're they're genuinely excited about an artist's potential to deliver something to the world that the world needs. They're less concerned about the amount of money in the bank because of it. And that makes them very special individuals. So there's something, they know their worth, they're driven by passion, and they're focused on something bigger than themselves.